With a plethora of spells to choose from in Baldur's Gate 3, it's easy to get lost in the myriad of ways that you can use the powers of the arcane and the divine to sculpt the battlefield, and so it's easy to get lost, as many a caster does, and just fall back on the spells that allow you to roll a bunch of damage dice. I'm looking at you, Fireball. With that in mind, I figured I'd point out some of the best spells available in the early stages of the game that don't deal direct damage, but rather allow you to control the fight and allow the party as a whole to do their best work. And so, in no particular order, I've collected my favorite 10 level 1 spells that don't do damage, but allow you to dominate the battlefield. The Grease spell comes from the School of Conjuration and is available to wizards, arcane tricksters, eldritch knights, and the draconic bloodline, specifically the Black Dragon. It takes an action, has a cast range of 18 meters with a 5 meter area of effect. It is not concentration, which means you can pop out as many of these as your spell slots allow. There is sadly no bonus to upcasting. Grease will turn the affected area into difficult terrain, and anyone failing a dexterity throw moving across the surface will fall prone and lose any actions and bonus actions, as well as break concentration on any spells being held. Getting up from the prone position will cost half the combatant's movement, and if the surface is large enough, likely force them to make another dexterity saving throw before making it out. The surface can be ignited by flame and is one of the best ways to control the movement of enemy combatants in the field. The Bless spell comes from the School of Enchantment and is available to clerics and paladins. It takes an action to cast, has a range of 9 meters, and can target up to 3 friendly creatures. It is a concentration spell, and upcasting will allow the targeting of 1 additional creature per level upcast. Creatures affected by Bless gain a bonus 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws. It's rather important to note this 1d4 bonus is not granted to ability checks or damage rolls, but is a rather useful buff to the party regardless. This effect ends after 10 turns or if concentration is broken. Tasha's Hideous Laughter comes from the School of Enchantment and is available to wizards, bards, eldritch knights, Great Old One warlocks, and the draconic bloodline, specifically the Copper Dragon. It takes an action and has a cast range of 18 meters, with it requiring a target with a minimum intelligence of 5. It is a concentration spell with no bonus to upcasting. On a failed wisdom saving throw, the target falls prone with laughter without the ability to get up and can only make a saving throw to shake the effect after taking damage. Unless interrupted or following a break in the caster's concentration, the effect will remain for 10 turns. This effectively allows you to take a key combatant out of the fight for as long as the spell holds, and is great for removing higher difficulty enemies from the combat order while you mop up the weaker foes. The Sleep spell comes to us from the School of Enchantment and is available to wizards, bards, sorcerers, eldritch knights, and archfey warlocks. It takes an action to cast, has a range of 18 meters, and can hit multiple targets so long as their combined remaining hit points do not exceed 24. The spell can be upcast, increasing the hit point total by 8 for each level of upcast. There is no saving throw against this spell, though it is important to note that elves and half-elves are immune to this spell due to their fey ancestry. Targets that are asleep can be attacked with advantage, though taking damage will automatically wake the target. Sleeping targets can be woken with the help or shove actions, so be sure to deal with affected enemies in a timely fashion. This spell is particularly useful in the early stages of the game, with its effectiveness decreasing as the levels and hit point totals increase also, but it never hurts to have this spell in the back pocket just in case. Fog Cloud comes to us from the School of Conjuration and is available to wizards, druids, sorcerers, rangers, arcane tricksters, eldritch knights, Tempest Domain clerics, and the draconic bloodline, specifically the Bronze Dragon. It takes an action to cast, has a casting range of 18 meters with a 5 meter area of effect. It both blinds and heavily obscures creatures within it. It requires concentration and can be upcast, with the area of effect being increased with each level of upcast. It is important to note that while it does blind those within, it does not obscure line of sight, so those outside of its area of effect can cast an attack into and through the area without modifiers. Fog Cloud is also useful for those with sticky fingers, as it is a great aid to stealth and thievery. Faerie Fire comes from the School of Evocation and is available to bards, druids, archfey, warlocks, light domain clerics, and drow and half-drow, though they'll have to wait until level 3. It takes an action to cast, has a casting range of 18 meters with a sizable area of effect. All creatures, including allies, as well as movable objects caught in the area, must make a dexterity saving throw or be illuminated in a soft fairy glow, making invisible or hidden creatures visible and granting advantage to any attack rolls made against them. The spell requires concentration, lasts 10 turns, and gains no bonus to upcasting. This is particularly useful against foes fond of sneak attack, but also, having advantage against enemies is never a bad thing. Longstrider comes from the School of Transmutation and is available to wizards, bards, druids, rangers, arcane tricksters, and eldritch knights. It takes an action to cast, targets one creature at level 1, lasts until a long rest, and does not require concentration. Not only that, but Longstrider is a ritual spell, so when cast outside of combat, it doesn't use a spell slot. Creatures affected by Longstrider gain an additional 3 meters to their movement speed, which is a massive boon in combat, allowing a greater range of movement, often reducing the need to dash to close the gap for melee fighters or increase the gap for glass cannon style casters. When cast at higher levels, one additional target per level is allowed. Being such a useful spell that uses no spell slots outside of combat due to its ritual cast nature, Longstrider is a must-have for any adventuring party. The Bane spell comes from the School of Enchantment and is available to clerics, bards, Oath of Vengeance paladins, and warlocks that take the Thief of Five Fates invocation. It takes an action to cast, has a range of 9 meters, and can target up to 3 hostile creatures. It is a concentration spell, and upcasting will allow the targeting of one additional creature per level upcast. Creatures targeted by Bane must make a charisma saving throw or receive a negative 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws. It is important to note this negative 1d4 is not applied to ability checks or damage rolls, but it is still a rather useful debuff to reduce the chances of enemies landing attacks or resisting effects. This effect ends after 10 turns or if concentration is broken. The command spell comes from the School of Enchantment and is available to clerics, paladins, and the fiend subclass warlocks. It takes an action to cast, has an 18-meter cast range, and at level 1 will target one creature. The target must succeed a wisdom saving throw or be affected by the caster's choice of a single word command for one turn. The commands available are halt, flee, grovel, approach, and drop, with drop having the target drop whatever weapon or item is currently in their grasp and doing nothing else, and the other commands having the target perform the action described while also forfeiting any movement not used in the act, as well as their actions and bonus actions. Upcasting this spell allows an additional target to be commanded for each level upcast up to a maximum of 3 targets. The Entangled spell comes from the School of Conjuration and is available to druids. It takes an action to cast, has a casting distance of 18 meters with an effect area of 3 meters. It is a concentration spell that lasts 10 turns and sadly receives no bonus from upcasting. The affected area becomes difficult terrain, slowing any creatures walking through it, and when doing so must make a strength saving throw or become entangled. Entangled creatures have their movement speed reduced to 0 and attacks against them have advantage, while attacks and dexterity saving throws made by entangled creatures have disadvantage. Entangled areas can be set aflame, damaging all caught in the area and ending the entangling effect. And there you have it, my 10 favorite level 1 spells that don't deal direct damage but can allow you to make the battlefield your own. What are your favorite level 1 spells to get your adventure started? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Happy adventuring, true souls. I'll catch you all in the next one.